This week on the WriterCon Podcast.
Believe in yourself. No matter what anybody else tells you, believe in yourself.
Welcome to WriterCon, a gathering place for writers to share their knowledge about writing and the writing world. Your hosts are William Bernhardt, best-selling novelist and author of the Red Sneaker books on writing, and Lara Bernhardt, award-winning author of the Wantland Files book series.
Thank you, Jesse Ulrich. Hey there, writers. Thanks for joining us today. We are back for our 5th season of WriterCon, which is actually a lot more WriterCon than it sounds like. I mean, we've done 18 conferences plus. This is our 196th episode of this podcast. I didn't actually start breaking them down into seasons until Lara joined the team, and now I just do it every year as we start fresh again after the WriterCon break. And you know what that means. It means we're just a few episodes away from our 200th episode. I mean, it seems like we should do something special to celebrate that. Anybody have any ideas? Lara, Jesse, what do you think?
A James Patterson appearance?
That would be special. Might have trouble booking him, but I will get on that. Lara, what do you think?
Maybe we should have cake next time.
Well, that's a lot easier than getting James Patterson. That much is for certain.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not like he's busy writing. Ooh, got him.
We could all wear party hats, although
That's
it'll
true.
be December. So, you know, it's not quite, but practically our Christmas episode. I guess if we skipped one, it could be our Christmas episode, but nah. We'll do 200 and let 201 be
Cake in
Christmas.
front of everyone.
Yeah. People love hearing people eat, so
Yeah.
that'd be a big hit. Listen, there is a community of people who enjoy hearing people eat, so we get some new listeners that way.
How can that be? Is that like a
ASMR.
podcast?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
ASMR.
Yeah, that's people talking softly, not chowing down.
I believe there's something called a mukbang
Yeah,
for our younger listeners. It's people eating very crunchy food.
The things I learned thanks to you guys. Okay, our special guest. Our interview today is with Shanna Hatfield. Shanna is the author of, get this, you won't even believe the real number. Let me give you a hint. It's more than 100 books she's written, and they are first-rate stuff. Won awards, hit bestseller list, and she's got a new book that's particularly special coming out called The Bridge. And we're going to talk to her about that and everything else. But first, the news. News story number 1. We've got new developments in the Anthropic lawsuit. Now, we covered that lawsuit and we covered the settlement, which was perhaps prematurely announced, not by us, but by everyone, because the judge hadn't signed off on it. Now he has signed off on it. And there have been other developments as well. We reported before that it looked like the settlement was going to give $3,000 per book to every author whose book was improperly treated by Anthropic. And now it sounds like it might be less than that because somebody's got to pay legal fees and the enormous costs involved in a class action suit. I mean, how did this not come to people's attention before? Anyway, so first, there is now a searchable database you can go to so you can find out which, if any, of your books are included in this settlement. And I will put a link to that in the show notes. It's also got an explanation of the timeline, how to file a claim, and everything else that might be involved. The settlement website is also live now, but there's at least one more development that you need to know about before you fill out that claim form, and that is you can only make a claim if you filed for copyright protection from the government when your book was published in the first place, which is today a largely unnecessary step that most self-publishers don't do. And for that matter, it turns out many major publishers haven't been bothering either, like, for instance, Macmillan, one of the big 5. though they have said publicly that they will pay the settlement for any of their authors that are shut out because no copyright protection was ever filed for. I mean, just FYI, in today's world, I mean, legally, as soon as you create a work, it's copyrighted. It's yours. You only file for a copyright to prove it later if it comes up. And I guess that's why it's relevant here, because if the court's going to award a settlement, it has to know that you're really in the class. And that means you've got to have copyright protection, which is, I had about 60 books on the list originally, and now it's down to about 25 once I narrowed it down to the ones that have actually had a copyright filed for them. I don't know. Lara, are you going to file a claim for your books?
I don't think any of them ever had the copyright officially registered.
Yeah. Jesse, what's your take? I remember you said on a previous podcast that you don't think AI should be used for creative work, and I totally agree. But now they seem to be indirectly paying for other people's creative work. Like if we give you 3,000, probably actually less, that makes it all okay. You buying that?
Here's what bothers me. One,
Yeah.
like Anthropic should be paying the legal fees. It should be coming out of the settlement.
Yeah, that should be beyond the settlement. Yeah.
And two, like the whole copyright thing is ridiculous. Like if it took your book, it took your book. Like
Exactly.
I would get in legal trouble for illegally downloading a book I did not pay for.
That's right.
So why aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Like just being able to have the ability to scrape the internet does not give you the freedom to take the entire internet. And I know that because one time I downloaded a movie and got a letter from my cable provider saying, "We know you downloaded an illegal movie. Don't do it again."
Yeah.
So
Exactly. No, it's pretty galling. We thought that this was going to be a good thing, for maybe a win for authors, and now instead I don't know. It really
it's
does
less
feel
of a
like
win.
slap
I
in
mean,
the
they've
face.
still got a lot of money. What, like $1 billion to hand out or something? But
Well, now, so who gets it now? Because there are a whole heck of a lot of us that have always been told this isn't really necessary. Your copyright
right. Well,
is
it
valid
isn't.
as soon as you publish. Yeah.
And I wonder if the court and the people involved in this really realize that there's a reason why people haven't been filing. And,
Yeah.
I understand the court wanting, some measure of proof that you're actually a member of this class, but there needs to be some secondary. And if you didn't file for copyright protection, here's what else you can do. Like Jesse's saying, you think, if I took one of those non-copyrighted book and published it under my name, I'd be sued the next day, right?
Yep.
So how is this different?
yeah.
All right. News story number 2, equally unencouraging. Wait, you remember during the live WriterCon broadcast, we talked about some of the cool new book clubs that are starting, people reading books alive and having retreat weekends and whatnot. Well, it seems there are also some book club scams that are literally stealing from writers, as if there weren't enough people trying to steal from writers already. Story goes, a woman named Melissa Spear was offering what's now being called the book club scam, something that many authors have received in recent weeks, including I got an email from someone who was at WriterCon this year who was, emailed with the same scam. Lots of people have gotten it. The person involved claimed to be the, quote, curator of a private community of over 2,000 readers who devour books like caffeine addicts in a library, end quote. And then they offered to share the person in question's book with all those readers for a price, of course. And turns out it's a scam. They're taking the money. They're not doing anything for you. I mean, what really could they do? Sometimes these book club scams are actually using the name of a real book club. Other times it's just totally fictional. This is what Victoria Strauss at Writer Beware says. And let me say again, as we've said before, Writer Beware is your friend. It is a great website. If you're questioning whether something is a scam or not, go to Writer Beware and find out. Here's what Victoria said, quote, The catch, as you'll doubtless have guessed, is that the author has to pay a fee for their appearance, like appearing on some online interview she's talking about, which has been variously described as a spot fee or a spotlight fee or a spot securing fee, a participation fee, whatever. Real book clubs don't charge fees to their guests, do they? And the amount of money they're asking for ranges anywhere from 55 to like 600. And some of them have various tiers. And like I said, I know this is not theoretical because I got an email from someone Lara and I both know who it's tempting. If you've never been interviewed before, then the idea of doing some kind of online interview that you can post on YouTube and TikTok or whatever sounds cool. On the other hand, the question he asked me was, they want $599. You think I'll ever make that back? And I said, no, not in a million years. I don't think you'll make $100 back. I mean, if you just think it sounds fun, okay, fine. But if you're thinking you're going to get that money back, forget about it. I think, Lara, make a note. I think we should have an entire masterclass at WriterCon next year to describe, one, how to market well, and two, how to not waste money by doing things that won't pay off or are just flat out scams. And it is worth reading Victoria Strauss's entire report on this. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. Lara, I can tell you are outraged. What are your thoughts on this?
In the past month, another author has come to me with not this, but something else, something similar, asking me, can this possibly be real? Is this legit? Have you heard about this? And I go look, and it's always a scam. There's always something. There's always someone trying to take our money in return for promises of.
And sometimes it's hard to distinguish from legit PR, because sometimes in the world of promotion, you do things that aren't going to earn their money back. It's a loss leader, or you're trying to super promote the first book in a series. Or okay, that's a calculated, I won't say gamble. That's a choice. It's totally different from people waving, ooh, there's a whole community of readers I'm going to put you in touch with. Jesse, is there a way to stop these scams from happening?
I mean, it's true, like what your parents taught you when you were a kid, which is if it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Yes.
So, like, and also at this point, like, anytime I get any email that I'm even slightly curious about, I will Google the name of the company. I will Google what the subject of the email is, and usually get a pretty good answer of whether it's a spam or not. A spam or a scam. Scam's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Or if you Google them, go ahead.
I think anyone who promises you that they're going to make your book a bestseller, it's a scam.
Yeah.
Who can tell you that? Who can promise you that? That's such a big red flag.
Yeah, here it wasn't exactly bestseller. As we're going to hook you up with all these readers and you'll make your money back. But no way that's going to happen. All right, let's move to Craft Corner. Today on Craft Corner, we have longtime WriterCon friend Barry Friedman, whose new book, the third in his series of humorous recollections of his late father, who is named Jack, which is why the book, which we can't say the title of on this podcast, but it's Jack, Use Your Imagination 3, I'm the Father. And it has just been released on the 14th. Check the show notes for a link to that as well. In the meantime, here are Barry's thoughts on keeping reality in your fiction.
Craft Corner.
Hi, this is Barry Friedman. You know, Red Smith, a really famous New York Times sports writer, maybe the best New York Times sports writer, maybe the best sports writer, once said writing is easy. You just sit at a typewriter and open a vein. Back then, people used typewriters. You can sit at a computer, you can sit at a notepad, just open a vein, just be careful of the blood. The point is that blood is the truth. That's the story. In nonfiction and narrative and memoir, you need to show people the blood, not just tell people what you think of the blood. Now, Norman Mailer, and I should probably clean this up, but it's a free website, free podcast, what do I care, said that fiction is bullshit, it's all nonfiction. What that means is everything comes from truth, from reality. When you write, keep that reality in mind. You are bringing reality to your reader. I'll give you an example. 2 examples. When I was younger, my father was a great bowler. That's example 1. Example 2. When I was younger, my father had 175 average as a bowler. He was good enough to join the PBA Tour, the Professional Bowlers Association. But men back then did not go home and tell their wives, honey, I'm leaving corporate America to join the PBA Tour. See the difference? See the difference? In the first case, I'm talking about the son, my father, the bowler. In the second case, Jack Friedman. Could have been a professional bowler. That's the difference. The world has to be his. I am the deliverer of that world. In other words, reality, as a writer, I'm the waiter. I bring it to the reader, and then I get out of the way. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Barry Friedman. Remember, his new book goes on sale October 14. You can get it right now. All right, now let's talk to Shanna Hatfield. Shanna Hatfield, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I am super excited to be here with you today. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you for being here. So, Shanna, traditional first question. If you could offer writers one piece of advice, what would it be?
Believe in yourself. No matter what anybody else tells you, believe in yourself.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, great advice. So tell us your origin story. How'd you get started writing?
I grew up with a mom who loved to read, and she shared that with me. She got me reading books as early as I could read, and we lived on a farm about 30 miles from the library. So going to the library was a big deal. We got to go once a month and check out as many books as they would let us. So just that love of reading led to a love of stories, and I always wanted to write a book, but instead of pursuing that, I spent 10 years as a newspaper journalist, and then I switched gears into marketing, and I just really missed writing. And one day I'd read this book that was not very well written, and it was published by a big publishing house. And I said to my husband, why would a publisher invest money in this? I could do better than this. And so he just looked at me and he said, so do it. So I sat down and started writing my first book, and The Bridge, my book coming out, is actually my 134th book. So
Holy smokes.
Love it. I absolutely love it.
Okay, that detail was not in your bio. 134th? Seriously?
Seriously.
Are they under multiple names?
Nope, all under my name.
Wow.
That is super impressive. Congratulations. Good for you.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that you grew up on a farm, and you've said before that offered you many learning experiences. Could you give us an example of that? Like, what was it like growing up like that?
Sure. Well, we all chipped in. We all helped. My dad, when I was little, called me his sidekick, and I went with him, from the time I was old enough to walk wherever Dad went. I really was his tag along. And I think just watching what a great work ethic my family had, that taught me a lot. And just that drive to work hard was a big thing. And just to be good people, to be caring, to be part of the community, all of that were lessons I learned when I was a child. And I feel like that really carries over into the books I write, that sense of community and that sense of being part of something bigger than just yourself, and that drive to work really hard and to do good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Very nice. I think a lot of authors kind of feel that way, that we just seem to run into just a lot of really good people when we're interviewing here. So your latest book, your new one, The Bridge, appears to be a little bit of a departure but it involves a series character, Archer Raines. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the bridge is a little different. I normally write historical and contemporary sweet and wholesome romances. I mean, they're just the warm, fuzzy, heartwarming. And this book has a definite heartwarming ending, but there's the whole suspense and drama and all this other stuff going on in this one. And Archer is our lead character. He's a police sergeant who excels at negotiating, and so he has worked hard all year long to be able to have Christmas off with his wife, and he's all set to enjoy a very restful Christmas Eve until his wife gets home from work. And, he's just kicked back with his bowl of fruity cereal that he never gets to eat and just having a peaceful morning when his boss calls and it's like, we have a situation. We need you here. And he doesn't pause. He doesn't hesitate. He goes. And I love that Archer is so dedicated, so loyal, and really just a caring guy. Like, he knows he can help, so he does.
So would you say it's fair to call this a Christmas novel? And people listening to this podcast are going to be thinking it's October, but that's when people release Christmas novels, right? Even though we're still a few weeks from Halloween. Yeah. Well, I had a book called The Midnight Before Christmas. It was a Christmas book, came out in October, and I'm like, what are they doing? But, I guess they know, right? And you've done Christmas books before, right? You've got a series of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. I love writing Christmas stories. So I usually release one, if not more, during the holiday season. But
that's smart.
you could definitely call The Bridge a Christmas story because the whole story takes place on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Your back cover says a Christmas Eve that changes everything. So that's like The Midnight Before Christmas. Oh my gosh, that's so people are going to leave this with a Christmas spirit, a Christmas feeling. Is that fair to say?
It is. I think you get the Christmas feeling more so towards the end of the book than at the beginning. The beginning's all the person in crisis, Archer responding,
right.
Things happening on the bridge. So there's not a lot of festive cheer in that. But as you progress in the story, I think it just wraps readers up in that whole feeling of Christmas and giving and sharing and hope.
Right. Well, don't diss the ending. I was telling you this before we started recording, but I got the copy and started reading last night. And let me put it this way. When I finally fell asleep, it wasn't because the book was boring. It's exceptionally immersive and a very good read. I was saying it's a departure because in the past you've written a lot of contemporary novels, right? Which are both funny and sexy, as you might expect, since you called well, maybe not, since you called them clean romances, but they kind of are, right? And you've done historical westerns. That's the Summer Creek series, right?
Summer Creek's Contempt. I have Pendleton Petticoats and Baker City Brides are historical.
Those are the westerns. Okay. What can you just not settle on a genre? What's the deal here?
I don't know. I feel like writing in different genres, just I have a very active imagination, and so it helps me be more creative, I think, because I can write a historical and then I can write a contemporary, or I can write a beach story, or I can write about cowboys, or it just keep things interesting for me.
Yeah. Well, it's worked for 134 books now, I guess, so can't really complain. But do you have editors or agents cautioning you against genre jumping, that, you'll lose your audience or whatever?
When I was just getting started, I read all the advice I could find, and they said not to jump genres, but it's like, well, let's just try it, see what happens. So nothing bad happened, good things happened, so I kept doing it.
The other cool thing I plugged out of your bio, cool because I could relate to it, is that you like to cook, apparently, and particularly enjoy experimenting with new recipes. So does that inform or enhance your writing, or is it just a distraction? You're writing when you'd rather be cooking, or the other way around? I don't know.
No, Actually, I cook. I don't mind cooking, but what I love to do is bake. I love to bake. Like that would be a third career choice if I couldn't write or plan parties. That would be number 3, being a baker. And I do like to experiment with recipes. I'm always thinking about, well, this was good, but what if I did this to it and tweak it this way or add this ingredient? And because I love to bake, every book that I write has a recipe at the back of it. And so it's fun for me to incorporate that recipe in some way in a scene with the characters. So I guess you could say that, yeah, my love for that does carry into my books. And for the most part, neither one is a distraction to the other. They just complement each other.
That is so fun. Okay. With 134 books in your backlist, I've got to know, what is your process like? Do you outline? Do you just kind of work from notes? Do you just sit down and open up your computer and start typing? How do you approach a new project?
I'm a super visual person. So my step 1 is I create a Pinterest board for each book. And then I'm adding visual things. Like when I decide what the characters are going to look like, I usually have already found, like, I know they want brown hair and blue eyes or whatever. So I start looking for a face that matches that. And so I put all that into my Pinterest board. So that's step 1 for me. I don't outline. I'm very much a pantser. Like I know where I want the story to start and where I want it to end, but everything in between just kind of flows. I feel very fortunate. My characters just whisper to me a lot, like, I want to do this, or no, don't let them do that. So, I feel like once I get immersed in it, the characters are pretty chatty and they help guide me where we need to go to reach the happy ending. I do have a great editor team. There's 4 different editors that I use just depending on which one's available when I have a book ready to edit. So it usually takes me around 3 weeks to just get the first draft hammered out. And then the editing process is anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks usually. So it takes about 2 to 3 months for me to have a book ready to release.
Wow. Wow, that's really impressive. And then what does a typical writing day look like for you?
If I am in writing mode and not working on other stuff, I can spend anywhere from 12 to sometimes 16 hours writing. I just get in my zone and I go. So,
Wow.
That's remarkable. Wow. Did you say 12 to 16?
She did. Which explains the whole 134 published books
Yeah,
thing.
I think that broke my brain a little bit. That's really impressive. Wow.
That's a lot.
I was nodding away and then I was like, wait, what did she just say?
Yeah, I've only got 60. Is it 66 books? You're making me feel like a real underachiever here, Shanna.
No, that's awesome. You have that many.
Well, what are some of the things that you have learned so far in your writing journey? Is something that you might like to share with aspiring authors who might be listening?
I think you need to listen to your heart. Like when I first got started, like I said, did all this research and all these, authors who were successful. I tried doing all the different things they said to do. And, some of them are at odds with each other. Like you should do this, and you should do that. And I think you just end up confused. So I think it's good to try things and figure out what works for you, what process works for you. If you don't have to outline if it doesn't work for you, which I did try. I took a class and it was all about outlining because I thought I was doing something wrong when I first got started writing because I didn't outline. So I took a class and I spent, I can't even tell you how long, outlining this whole book, in-depth outline. So then 3 weeks later, I had still written 3 pages because I just felt so confined. Like my juices weren't flowing. I could not write anything. And so I threw out the outline and finished the book. And from that point on, I'm like, I am not an outliner. I cannot do that. I have to just fly by the seat of my pants. But
That's
so
okay.
to capsulize all my rambling is do what works for you. Figure out what works for you and then do that and then do it again.
I do like that advice, but I like that you tried it. I'm sad that you felt like you were doing something wrong, but I like that you tried it because I think that we need to try a lot of different things before we know what works the best for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you've clearly found something that works for you, Shanna. And unfortunately, I've got to wrap this up. But one more question first: what will be coming out from you next? What can we be watching for?
I have a new book in my Summer Creek series that you mentioned. It's coming October 30th. It's a rom-com about a farmer and a girl from Hollywood who inherits a house next door. And then I'm going to have 4 new Christmas books out for the holiday season.
Wow.
Well, that'll get you through the next few months anyway, right? Let's have you back for your 150th, which will probably be in a weekend or something.
I would love that. Thank you.
Shanna, thanks so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a joy to be here.
You bet. Bye-bye now. Just a few parting words. We have just gotten past the WriterCon conference. Of course, there'll be another one next year on Labor Day weekend, but we have just posted information about next year's WriterCon cruise, which will be in April of next year. No, March of next year. This time, we're leaving from Fort Lauderdale for an 8-day cruise through the Eastern Caribbean. That's a new destination for us. A lot of new tropical vistas like all the Leeward Islands and other things I've certainly never been to. So beautiful scenery, warm weather, plus over 20 hours of writing instruction from Lara and I, plus an onboard agent who will happily talk to every participant. We'll not just be lecturing, we'll be talking to you about your work in progress if you have one, so will the agent. So don't miss out. Plan to be with us March 7th to 15th. Visit the WriterCon website for more information. Let me also remind you that WriterCon has its own newsletter. Just sent out a new issue. It's completely free on Substack. Got wonderful articles on breaking issues like AI and writing fiction, producing audiobooks, and also have news about new agents, new publishing venues. Go to Substack, search for WriterCon, sign up for this free website, all right? Until next time, keep writing, and remember, you cannot fail if you refuse to quit. See you next time.